Hey everybody, Garrett Brumley here with Duty to Train. I wanted to go over the different ways that you can store your pistol, and there's basically three different ways you could do it. And depending on where you are at in your shooting career, how comfortable you are with a loaded gun is going to determine how you store your pistol. And I want to start off by saying this first off is these are dummy rounds, and this is totally cleared out. So I want to first start off by saying you need to do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Don't let anybody tell you. There are definitely benefits and drawbacks to every single situation. All three situations, there's a benefit and a drawback. And if you're a very advanced shooter, you'll sometimes hear like advanced shooters be like, "Oh, you got to store condition one because what if you're not, like that works. That's cool because there's no drawbacks to being a very advanced shooter and storing condition one, right? Because you're confident in your abilities. You know that gun is not going to fire unless you make it fire. And if you know that that's not going to happen, then there are no drawbacks. There are no downsides to storing your weapon condition one. But I think what a lot of advanced people forget, or sometimes they're just like really intense about storing like either condition one or condition three, is if it makes you uncomfortable to store it that way. And I'll go into like what all this means. If it makes you uncomfortable to store your weapon in any certain way, then store it in a way that makes you feel safe. If that means putting your pistol upstairs and your magazine downstairs, if that's what you have to do, it's better than not having a gun in the house at all, right? And so do what makes you feel comfortable, and don't let anyone ever bully you into storing your pistol in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, because pistols should not make you feel uncomfortable. And if they do, that's when mistakes really happen. You should not be nervous around guns. If you're nervous around anything, you're not confident, you're going to start second guessing yourself. So just eliminate that whole thing, store your pistol in a way that makes you feel safe, and you'll be good to go. So I'll just start with, I wouldn't say safest, but for lack of a better word, the safest way to store a pistol is condition 4. And that means there's no round in the chamber, right? And the magazine is not inserted. So to quickly go over the weapon conditions, weapon condition 4 is no magazine inserted, no round in chamber. Weapon condition 3, magazine inserted, but I still have to rack the slide, right? So even if I pulled this trigger, and there's dummy rounds in here, but even if I had live fire ammo, I could pull this trigger and nothing would fire because I haven't loaded the round into the chamber yet. And then condition 1 is when you cock it. Condition 2 applies to weapons with a hammer outside the pistol. So condition 2 means that you've loaded the pistol. It's kind of condition 1. So there's a magazine inserted, round in the chamber, but then that hammer is not back, it's forward. And in order for a pistol that has an outside hammer to shoot, it has to be drawn to the rear. So a condition 2 weapon is magazine inserted, round in the chamber with the hammer forward. And then you would have to pull that hammer back in order to make it condition 1. So that is all the weapons conditions. And the benefit, I just want to start with, I'll just go condition 4, then just do some benefits and drawbacks of all three. I'm not going to go over condition 2 just because if you are storing your weapon condition 2, that's a pretty advanced. Actually, I don't even know if I would, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of stay out of that. I don't have a lot of experience with like condition 2 weapons. And so for right now, I just don't want to talk about something that I'm not knowledgeable about. So 4, 3, and 1 are the most likely, especially with modern pistols. That's what probably anybody watching this video is going to encounter anyway, so that's what I'm going to cover. So condition 4, no magazine inserted. This is cleared out, no round in chamber. If you're a beginner shooter, you feel uncomfortable, or even if you're an advanced shooter, but you just don't like the idea of having a gun loaded in your house, then this is the way to go. You can store both your pistol and your magazine in the same safe, in the same lockbox, like, by your bed or wherever you keep it, or you can store them entirely separately. You don't have to like lock up both. Lock up the pistol, and then you could keep, your magazine in a drawer, or you could keep it, on a shelf or something like that. These, they're not going to just fire on their own, so you can just hide it someplace where people aren't going to easily find it. Lock up your pistol, and then that way, once you go, enter your code, get your pistol out of your safe, you just grab your magazine and you're good to go. So there's drawbacks to this. Obviously, if someone enters your house a lot of people, I'm going to make some videos soon and cover like real life situations. And I actually used to be under the impression that you would have more time, but I have actually recently seen so many examples of like real life video situations, you know, they're real videos. And I mean, it happens like that. And home intrusions where between the time where someone enters the house to shots fired is like under 4 seconds. I saw a video the other day. It's like entering the house, banging down the door with, I don't know what they had, but it was like a sledgehammer or something. Bang down the door, and then the guy was firing at the intruders like within 5 seconds for sure. So if you think you can like get to your gun and then load it, go to 2 different places, then rack it, and then be on target in 5 seconds, that's a pretty high bar. So, you know, there's drawbacks, but if it makes you uncomfortable to have that gun loaded in your house, then don't do it. I'm not saying, you know, store your weapon condition 1 because maybe someone's going to come in and in 4 seconds you need your gun. That could happen, but it very well likely and most likely will not occur. So do what makes you feel safe. And if that means storing the magazine and the pistol completely separately, then that is a decision you should make, and you should do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Your comfort around pistols is paramount. And if you are uncomfortable being around a loaded gun in your house and you have grandkids around, whatever, you just don't like it, then just don't do it. It's as easy as that. And don't let anyone bully you into doing it. Next one is weapon condition 3. This is the one that I would, I guess, personally recommend for someone who's not a total beginner, but someone's not super advanced. It's probably the most, I have no statistics to back this up, but I'd be willing to bet this is probably one of the most common ways people do store guns, just because you know it's unloaded, you know it's easily loaded, but it's not fully loaded yet, right? Magazine is inserted, but there's no round in the chamber. But when you go to grab your pistol, all it literally takes is like, you grab your pistol, I'm good to go. That was it, right? That 1 split second is like the last fail-safe that you can have between making a mistake and it being just that, a mistake, and being a deadly error. Once you store at condition 1, which is how it is right now because I just racked it. So again, condition 4, no magazine inserted, no round in chamber. Condition 3 is magazine inserted, no round in chamber. And now condition 1 is magazine inserted, round in chamber, you're ready to fire. And if you ever make a mistake with condition 1, it's, you know, a potentially lethal situation, you know, assuming it's pointed at somebody at the time. And it can, you know, it can happen. And it happens all the time. And this is one of the big things that people, you know, who are kind of like on the gun control side harp about is there are a lot of mistakes that happen because people don't treat weapons correctly. And they don't have the proper training and they just don't have the proper mindset. So, you know, they do something dumb and, you know, they kill somebody. It happens every year. It happens multiple times a year. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but it does happen. So if you want the one last fail-safe, then you can store your weapon condition 3, and then that way it's literally, I mean, you just take it out, it's literally like half a second more that, you know, it takes to load that gun. So it's not a big deal. And additionally, some people do make this argument that if someone ever comes into the house and they're like going around, maybe they're not banging down doors and coming in yelling, maybe, you know, you realize somebody's in your house and, you know, it's pretty quiet, but you know someone's there, racking that gun might just get them to leave anyway. So another thing to think about, one of the pros. Cons is it just takes a little bit longer. Maybe you forget in the moment that you need to load that pistol. You know, you go to pull the trigger and then you're like, oh crap, and that split second that you realize you didn't have anymore is now the difference between potentially life and death, right? And that sounds like, oh, you know, crazy, but it could be. You know, that's one of the drawbacks. Last thing, condition 1 is you're just ready to go. And the drawbacks to this, obviously, there are no room for errors. So if you ever in recent history have made any type of, you know, mistakes with your pistol, whether that's like flagging somebody or, you know, pointing your pistol in a way that's not supposed to go, or putting your finger on the trigger when you're not ready to fire, do not store your pistol this way because there is no room for error. It's the quickest way to gain access and easily use your firearm, but most dangerous if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So stay safe, live free, do what works best for you, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.